Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mindset Manifesting Business Show. I am so excited to welcome Sonya Highfield with us. She is an extraordinary woman. I'm going to read her bio out to you, and I know you are going to latch on and hang from her lips as we go through this interview. We've got so many interesting things to talk about. So, as Sonya is a 2 times business owner, a podcast host, and the wealth expansion coach for creative entrepreneurs who want to expand their abundance, spirituality, and I knew I was going to mess this word up. Strategically, by building a profitable business, doing what they love while prioritizing their well-being. She offers a powerful, intuitive guidance alongside business, mindset, and energy coaching to give clients the most holistic approach to creating their goals and being happy humans along the way. Tell me you don't love everything about that. Sonya, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Please, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself a little bit, and let people get to know you? Let me just switch that over. Over to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
So welcome.
Yes, so I have been in business for almost 13 years, but I started as a photographer, and then I like to say I got hit over the head from the universe to start helping other creatives. And so I started speaking and then eventually coaching. And at first it was a lot about just kind of like business basics and pricing. And then I started getting really big into money mindset. And what I realized along the way was that number one, I was operating very much from my intuition first, and then kind of figuring out what people need, and then finding the strategy that made sense for them. And I'm someone who's like, let's figure out the strategy. Let's work on the mindset. Let me get you the tools. Let me get you the resources. Let me get you the connections. Like when I say, I take a holistic approach, it's really like, not only are we going to work the inside of you, but we're going to work, the outside. And I love to just bring a big toolbox to the table for clients. So they get really like so many things out of working together. And along the way, I realized that people were showing up for help with money, but really the work that we were doing was so much deeper than just, the dollars, right? And so, I really just started figuring out like, okay, how can I let my intuition lead and also really honor my clients' intuition and where they're being called to go and what they think is holding them back or is, challenging them. And let's make a lot of space for those things to be brought to the table, and we can work on the money along the way. And then about 4 years ago, I, again, got an intuitive hit to learn about the Akashic Records. And if people aren't familiar with the records, it sounds like this big, crazy, vague, out there thing, but it's basically collective cosmic wisdom that holds the story of each soul and entity on Earth. And so I like to...
Sorry to interrupt you. Would this include like your ancestral line and the wisdom that comes through that as well?
Yes. Right. So yes, I like to explain it like the documentary of your soul. So that's about past lifetimes, your family lineage, so many things. And so I found that this was the most powerful work that I had come across, most powerful modality. And really, I felt like, okay, I'm actually doing a disservice to people if I don't include this in my work, because it's so much more than just my intuition. It's knowledge and wisdom that, like my brain and system couldn't come up with on its own. And what I've seen time and time again is that it's highly practical. It's really empowering. It's very healing energy, loving energy, and you get powerful, powerful guidance that can help unlock and uncover and understand patterns that you've been holding, illogical fears, and then also get beautiful guidance on business. And so I bring that to the table now, with all of my clients is like, we're going to talk to your soul guides because they know all the things. And
Oh,
then we will work through any of the mindset work that we need to. We can figure out what strategies make sense, but getting soul aligned guidance to start with makes everything so much easier and also really deeply affirms people in what they feel called to do and where they feel called to go and those big dreams that they're after, even when they're like, okay, this makes no sense. It sounds super crazy. And we're like, well, okay, let's see what the soul guides say. And they're like, yes, you are exactly on the right track.
that is amazing. How do you work? How do you get answers? Would it just be in a meditative state? Do you use your pendulum? Like how would you get, yes, you're on the right track. How would you get that answer?
So, yeah, I use a process. Your puppies want to know about it too. I use a process called the Pathway Prayer, which was created by a woman named Linda Howe. And she is like one of the pioneers of Akashic Records, but really Akashic Records have been around for all of time. And you can tap into them in different ways, but this was the way that I learned from my teacher, and it's how I still find most effective. So I use this opening prayer to help me connect with your specific, they call them masters, teachers, and loved ones, your soul guides. And
Right.
for me, I receive information in a variety of ways. So a lot of times I'm hearing it like words. I also have images come into my mind. I often have feelings in my body, and I'm very claircognizant. So sometimes it's just knowing. But
Mhm.
how I do it in a session is basically I'd be on Zoom with someone like this. I would say the opening prayer, tap in, and then I like to keep my eyes closed to just help me focus. But essentially, we would just have a conversation. So you would be asking questions, and I would be relaying them to your soul team, your soul guides, and then just unfiltered sharing back the guidance and messages. And so it's very like custom to people. And I will say, like, people say my, sharing of this work, channeling of this work is very clear and actionable. That's not to hate on anyone else who's doing it, but sometimes it can be a little more floaty and vague. Mine comes through super clear, super specific, very like, you know, like very, very specific to you. And so it's really helpful for people who want to know, like, yeah, not only am I on the right track, am I working within my purpose, but things will come through even like, hey, you need to work on your refund policies. Or like,
Wow.
yeah, like, or like, oh, you really should be promoting yourself on, YouTube. Like it really is so specific like
Oh,
that.
wow.
Yeah.
I want to ask one question and then I want to say something. So do you call yourself a medium with a channeling,
I
or does that
don't.
not even cross your
So
mind?
I have done mediumship where I'm talking to specifically to like people's past loved ones.
Yeah.
I have done that kind of work. Super cool. I don't think it's what I'm here to do. And what I would say is more of like I'm a channel or a reader with the Akashic Records work.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it a little bit, all kind of blends together, right?
Right. Right. And then I just want to like tell you, I don't know if you can see it on the video, but you have got the most beautiful glowing aura, beautiful white glowing. It was, as you started talking about it, it just keeps glowing. I think it's absolutely incredible. I had to mention that. So if you go and watch the replay, have a look see.
Yeah.
So how would you combine the Akashic Records with your business coaching? Is it basically what you said now? Is that would the client ask you to ask a specific question, or would you intuitively know what the question should be? Like, how would you work that?
Yeah, so a lot of times what I will have people do is will start a session with tuning into their Akashic records and getting the soul guidance and having them ask. A lot of times people do show up with specific questions, and sometimes they don't have specific questions, and that's okay too. We can still tune in and get guidance and say, what do you need to know right now? Or, I can help them craft some questions. And so we'll start with that, because then that is a great blueprint for, what I can do with them in the coaching realm, and really figuring out, like, what steps they need to take, again, like what resources I might offer, what tools, what connections, and really making sure that they feel empowered and capable of implementing the guidance that comes through.
Oh, yes. Sure, sure, sure. So this is obviously where your wealth mindset would come in. Like you say, like making sure they can implement it, which is that mindset as well. What would you say would the key be to adopting a wealth mindset as an entrepreneur, with big dreams? And then also just explain a little bit about wealth mindset, just so that people on the same page as us.
Yes. So, okay. The important thing to know is that the original definition of wealth was the condition of well being. So, when I heard that, I had a light bulb moment, because, again, I
Yes.
was helping people with money, but it was about so much more than that. And so, when a friend of mine actually told me that definition, I was like, aha, I am the wealth
Ah,
expansion coach. That makes sense, because I really prioritize people as human first and business owners second.
yeah.
I think that's really important, that we're not burning ourselves out, sacrificing ourselves, like being martyrs, and that we can actually take care of our human, beautiful, human selves, and pursue our passions, pursue our art, like pursue our purpose, build the businesses that we want to have. But it's really allowed to be customized to what is your definition of wealth and well-being. And so for me, wealth mindset is all about the holistic lens of how can you make every area of life and business well, right? So
Right.
yes, your body, yes, your mind, yes, your bank account, right? Like all of those things. And not,
And your soul, like
yes,
feeding that as well, right? Sure.
absolutely, right? So, um, your wealth is built up from looking at all those different areas and figuring out, how can I create well-being? What does that mean for me, my body, my business? And I think once we create that definition for ourselves, okay, this is what my version of wealth looks like and feels like, then we can build businesses. We can go after our purpose with a lot of clarity, a lot of focus, and also a lot of courage, right? So we're not getting swept up in, this is how someone else says success looks. This is what, I have to do if I want to make money, and, have to ignore my body and just hustle, right? So knowing for yourself, what does wealth actually mean? And then using that mindset, right? Like, oh, okay, I'm allowed to have that version of wealth. And now I can build from there. I can create my lifestyle around that. I can find support and community and all the things that feel good for me. And it gives people a lot of permission, right? To just do it the way that feels good for you. So that's really like the wealth mindset that I encourage people to adopt.
That's awesome. I love that. Um, so when you talk about all the different areas of wealth, how can people, and I just know some people are going to think this, how can they not feel overwhelmed and burnt out? So how, because I just know, even talking from experience, being a creative, like loving all sorts of creative things, and then trying to build a business around that. But then you think of this idea, and there's, that kind of burnout. How can a person avoid all of that? Even thinking of, okay, I have to sort out my body, and I have to sort out my family, and I have to, like, there's all these aspects, and
Yeah.
we want it all to be abundant and wealthy and well. But I can imagine the burnout, especially someone that is a perfectionist or OCD, I think
Mm,
they'll be that anyway. But
yes, totally.
yeah, so what would what advice would you give on that?
Yeah. So when you think about, I kind of like to give people a little list, like a little check-in list, if you're thinking about, those different areas of wealth. So thinking about your health, your finances, your spiritual life, your relationships, your business, your home, um, any other kind of like,
Friends,
personal.
family thing. Oh, you said
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, any of those other areas, and do a little check-in with yourself of like, what is well-being looking like in this season of life, right? What would it mean? And some of those areas you're like, I got it, I'm already working it, we're good. And there's other
Yeah.
areas that are going to need more attention, right? And so at different moments in time, it's not going to be 100% focused on every area, but awareness, I think, is really key, and thinking about like, oh, okay, you know what, in this season I'm really focused on, like expanding my business visibility and taking care of my physical health, right? Like those might be priority, and it's about like, okay, well, that doesn't mean I'm ignoring my family, but maybe my family's in a good routine right now, like we're happy and thriving, and there's nothing like major that we're working on right now. It's not about perfection, right? It's about having the awareness that there's all these different areas that you do want to give time and energy and like dedication to. And it's okay to have priorities. And it's also okay, again, to figure out like, well, yeah, that is a lot when you're a business owner, a mom, a human, a like friend, a
Yeah,
daughter,
you
right? Like all these
right.
things. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so part of the wealth and the well-being is figuring out, well, what do I need for support so that I do feel like I can take care of myself, I can take care of my family, I can take care of my business, I can take care of my relationships in a way that actually supports me and supports my like energy, supports my lifestyle, right? And again, it's going to look a little different for everyone. So, for some people, like maybe they don't have a business coach or something right now, but they have a nanny that comes 4 days a week, and that supports their family wealth. For other people it's like, okay, yeah, I need a therapist, I need I don't know, a specialty doctor, right? Like there's other things that you're like, that's the support that I need, so that I don't feel overwhelmed trying to just like live my life and enjoy my life. And
Yes.
yeah, I think again, like it's not about perfection, and going back to defining what does wealth actually mean for you. Like for me, um, I like a lot of peace and quiet. So if there's anything that's like taking away from that actively, I want to look at like, what is that and why is that happening, and how can I shift it back to something that feels better for me. Um,
Right.
And that's something that I know we're going to talk about this at the end, but in the workshop that I'm offering everyone, we talk about, what's contributing to your wealth and what's taking away from it, and how to start identifying those things so that your daily life is, again, it's not about perfection or like bad things not happening or challenges not coming up or just life being messy, but it's about knowing like, okay, how can I really set myself up for my version of success and wealth on a daily basis in a way that really like makes sense.
So you mentioned self-care in there, and what you're saying now is almost intentionally setting up self-care throughout your day, and not
Yeah.
just, oh, I'll do it on the weekends, I'll have a hot bath and relax with the bubbles and some
Yeah.
wine, whatever. So it's really being so intentional about self-care. When I say self-care, not only your physical body, but again, your mind, spirituality,
Yeah.
relationships, business, all the things. Oh,
Yeah. Yes. And it's about, again, figuring out what makes sense for your lifestyle and your energy.
mm,
But I think a lot of times it sounds simple when I say it, right? But when business owners get going. Like, we're wearing a lot of hats. There's a lot going
Yeah,
on, and there can be a lot of internal pressure to like get to work, get to the emails, get to the things, right? And
yeah,
so it sounds so simple, but it's like, what if you take care of yourself
yeah,
before you dive into work every day? Or what if you
yeah,
stop and actually take a lunch break? I
yeah.
can't tell you how many people are like, oh yeah, I literally never,
Yeah,
like,
you just sit in front of your laptop and gobble.
yeah,
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 I so often tell my clients it is a masculine, feminine energy, and you have to yin yang it. You have to balance it. The feminine is going into the creative and taking those breaks and doing the self care and really creating from that place, and then going into the masculine and doing the action, the work, and it just balances and flows so beautifully. So
yeah.
I absolutely love that. I want to talk about this business workshop that you have. You call it your burnout free business workshop, because you were mentioning it as well. Tell us. So, just for everyone watching, we are going to be dropping the link in the description. Go and have a look so that you can grab it and really work through it. It is so interesting. I've got a whole bunch of things written out, but I'd really like you to talk us through this workshop that you do, because I think it just seems so important for crafting a business from a holistic place.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell us, tell us, Sonia, tell
Yeah.
us all the juicy things.
So I realized through going through my own experience of burnout in my first business, and then helping so many creatives who are also either in burnout or had already experienced it and want to do things differently. Like, this is a really big, important topic. And again, I don't think it's as simple as saying, like, here's the one perfect schedule for everyone, right? Like, here's the one, you know, tool that you need that'll solve all your problems. So the workshop is really about crafting your version, again, of a burnout free business. And so we look at 6 different areas that can be impacting your burnout. Because I do think a lot of times people think about it as like physical burnout, but
Yes.
there's the mental aspect, there's a financial aspect, there's a spiritual aspect, right? And so we kind of walk through like, okay, what are all these different areas? How might they have been impacting you, or are currently impacting you? How can you step out of burnout if you're already in it? Or how can you avoid it by, again, bringing awareness to these different areas? And then going through, again, like, what's your definition of wealth, but also what are the non-negotiables that you can create
Mhm.
and set up and implement in
Right.
your life and business that will allow you to stay out of burnout, that will allow you to support yourself, nourish yourself, grow your business, and really create something that's sustainable on a daily basis.
Right. I
And
love that.
I will say too, like, I absolutely support, the encouragement of outsourcing. And I also understand that not everyone has, the means or the finances to outsource everything or, outsource anything at first. And so this workshop really meets you where you're at, whether you are ready to like, okay, yeah, I can delegate some more things, or I can hire someone, or no, I just need to shift things within my own daily life so that I can prioritize what's important, prioritize my health, and yeah, again, not feel overwhelmed or, get into just the burnout of running a business because it is
Yeah.
a lot. And yeah, I think if we're not kind of in tune with what's, again, like actively contributing to us thriving or actively taking away from us thriving, then it's really easy to just be like slogging through, right? Just like in reaction mode. So being
Survive.
intentional. Yeah.
Yeah. Surviving every day. That is just, it's so draining, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I just love all of that. I love everything. So is there anything else? Well, I actually need to mention to everyone watching, if you want to get hold of Sonya, all her links, all her socials, all her things are in the description below. Please reach out, go and follow her, find out more, for sure grab that workshop so that you can really get deeper and deeper into this, that she can just help you with all the beautiful things. Is there anything else you would like to tell us about? Anything else that was on your mind that you'd love to share? You're more than welcome.
Yeah.
Channel for us.
Great question. I think the other thing I would just encourage people to do is check out my podcast as well, which is Wealthy in Pajamas, because I share a lot of business and money mindset and intuitive business guidance, as well as have some really great interviews with other badass creative women who are building wealth their wild and weird ways. And that's a great place to, like, again, if you're kind of intrigued by what I've been talking about and like, yeah, how can I apply this? Definitely go check out my podcast. It has a lot of like bite size, 5-10 minute episodes for you to, adopt the wealth mindset and figure out really how to apply it to your life and business. And then, if you want to go a step further, I have one-to-one sessions. And I will say the other thing too is I do a monthly small group Akashic Records reading every month, a soul session. So if you're intrigued about talking to your soul guides and getting some guidance that way, it's 6 spots only, but I do it every month. And so you can come kind of like taste test, get some guidance, get some healing, and see what that work is all about. If you're like, okay, I'm kind of into it, but I'm not really sure what it means still.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have the calling, I feel like you kind of know when you're like, okay, yeah, I think maybe this is something I want to explore. And if it's not for you, that's cool. But if you're getting, the hit that you want to kind of go down that avenue, come get an experience in a really beautiful, intimate group reading.
That's awesome. I also just want to comment on you saying I absolutely love podcasts. I mean, I just don't even turn on the radio anymore. It's a podcast all the way to school and back when I fetch boys or do whatever. And when I click on a podcast and it says it's over an hour long, I'm like, oh, I'm never gonna get this done. I'm gonna have to do 10 trips. So I love bite sizes. I love it so much because it's all you really need, right? It's just that little bit of something, get your mind thinking and change a perspective or something. So I absolutely love that. I'm for sure going to go and have a look-see at your podcast. That to me sounds amazeballs. But thank you, Sonya. Absolutely loved every minute talking to you. I could honestly spend a couple of hours longer, pick your brain and do all the things. I just absolutely love it. So thank you so much for just being willing to be interviewed and share your wisdom and give us support and guidance. I think it's absolutely beautiful what you do in the world. It's truly, truly beautiful. I think so many entrepreneurs suffer in silence with burnout. It's like a secret pain that they have. And if they don't hear other people talking about it, they don't even realize. I think a lot of people are so unaware. They just feel like, oh, this is life. This is how it's meant to be. You have to work hard and then die and then, whatever. So it's really beautiful to talk to someone like you, just so that people know there's help out there and it's not supposed to be hard and horrible all the time.
Yes, and I think too, like a lot of times people who look really successful are experiencing these things and no one is asking them because they're like, oh, your business is booming and you have so many clients and you're making big money months, but it's like it's not all, rainbows and butterflies behind the scenes. And yeah, you're right. It doesn't have to feel it doesn't have to feel bad. And
all the time.
Yeah.
And a little bit of the time because that's human.
Yeah.
You don't have to hate love all the time.
Yes, totally. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was such a nice conversation.
Oh, you're so welcome. I really loved having you on. Thank you everybody for watching. Please go and check out Sonya's pages. Her podcast for sure is on my top of my to-do list. And thank you, Sonya. It's so lovely having you. Thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful time. Loves to all of you. Bye.